This is all wrong. I shouldn't be up here. I should be back in school on the other side of the ocean. Yet you all come to us young people for hope. How dare you?
Boring. 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 Boring.
You got it work. Don't tell us what we're going to feel. We're trying to solve a problem. Don't tell us what we're going to feel.
I'm not telling you.
Because you're in no position to dictate that.
That's exactly what you're doing.
You're in no position to dictate what we're going to feel.
I call again for immediate ceasefire in Gaza, the return of the sausages, the hostages.
Welcome to another edition of Lembertopic Live here on Unprecedented TV, where we find the facts, kill the spin, and tell it like it is about stories all over the world. Thanks very much for increasing numbers. As I always say, my team tells me to say this. If you like what we're doing, then like it, whatever that means in social media. And feel free to repost, retweet, re-X, whatever you want to do. We're just grateful for the coverage. Things are going pretty well here at Unprecedented. We've got more programs starting very shortly, and we have a very, very big exclusive interview. More about that a little bit later on today. But for now, we stay in the United Kingdom for yet another fallen minister from the Labour Party for a very common reason. Double standards, hypocrisy. It turns out that the housing minister, the homelessness minister was actually breaking pretty much the spirit of the very rules that her own party were putting forward. And it's a bit difficult to understand what's been going on there. But we've got a housing expert coming on in just a minute. Let me set the scene. Labour promised change. They said, it's really important that we all get away from the discredited, immoral activities of the Conservatives. 14 years of bad behaviour. And then, lo and behold, we begin to see that Rushanara Ali, the homelessness minister, was supporting the current government's hand-wringing concern about homeless people and rentniks, but then hiking up her own rent and trying to charge thousands for some sort of dilapidations. We'll get into the details of that in just a moment. I would say what we're seeing is a Labour Party which is nothing of the sort when it comes to a break from the past, a new path, a breath of fresh air. What we've got here is a pretty much continuation of exactly the problems we had before. Labour and Conservative, in terms of their behaviour, you couldn't really separate them. There is one difference. Conservatives were cynical and competent to an extent. Labour are cynical and incompetent. I've never seen a political party in government wreck their own goodwill and reputation with the public as quickly as Keir Starmer's Labour Party. And this is just another example of it. Well, I wonder what you think. Have your say in X, and I will get the hang of the chat sooner or later. In fact, I'm going to try and do that today. I don't know if I'll succeed, but we can try. So if you want to try the comments, then do please feel free to go to those as well. But joining me now, somebody who knows quite a lot about housing. And also she's a councillor, and that is Councillor Maxine Fothergill. Maxine, thanks for joining us on a day where you're probably laughing your head off because you told us so. First of all, before we go into that, then tell us what your business is.
I've run my business for the past 23 years. It's called Amax Estates and Property Services, and my background is in housing. I work in property management, started the business from scratch, very often invited to government on government consultative groups, especially when new legislation's being introduced. And that's what we do. So this was of great interest when I saw this one. Actually, not yesterday. I saw it the night before on I, which was, where I realised this doesn't sound right.
Just before we go into talking about the minister's decline and fall, political demise, what does your property business actually do?
We work in property management, so we do lettings and we do block management. We do some sales, but we're not so strong on sales. I've represented my organisation as the president of Property Mark, which represents 18,000 people across the country. I spent a year out on the roads, literally doing presentations from government level to our own membership as the president of Arla Property Mark from 21 to 22. And that's what I do. Also, I've been a landlord for the past 26 years, so I really understand what's going on, the legislation, what we need to do. We've got something like 170 parts of legislation, and beneath it sits 400 parts of regulation. And it's a huge, great, big part of our life, because everybody needs a home. So it's so important that anybody that works in property actually understands how to actually do the job in the first instance.
Okay. Well, you're just the right person to have on the show today with this breaking story. And let's set the scene. I think this is the person who's had to resign. Homelessness Minister Rushanara Ali quits over rent hike claims. What did she do?
She allegedly gave her tenants 4 months' notice because she said she wanted to sell the property. The property became vacant in November last year, and instead of putting it on the market, which I don't believe it did, but don't quote me on that, I might be incorrect on that, but certainly from what I've read, it went straight onto the rental market. But it didn't go straight on the rental market as it had been previously. The tenants had been actually left without a home. So she did give them 4 months' notice. It's normal that a landlord would have to give 2. So she did give the double the amount of time. So I will give her that one. But what I won't give her, and I think is absolutely unforgivable, is the fact that she said she was going to sell. She didn't. She put it straight on the market at £700 hike, which I think is absolutely disgusting. And of course, the tenants found out about it. What surprises me about this story is how comes it's taken all this time from November through to August to actually find out about this. Now, it gets even worse, because not only did she increase the rent by £700 extra per month, but she also tried to claim £2,000 for repainting of the property. £2,000, a lot of money. And also, I think it was £450 for cleaning, which is actually, it breaches the tenants' fees, which was a legislation that was actually brought in 2019. So why she felt that she could do that? Anyway, apparently, as soon as it came out that she was the homeless minister, she dropped that straight away, because she knew that she was high profile, and that would have been something that she simply didn't want her name dragged down, knowing that she was the homeless minister. But this story's now come out, obviously, about her hyping the rent up by £700. It's shocking.
So basically, she's just completely confused her own moral position as far as the Labour Party is concerned, the Labour government's concerned, with her greed.
Absolutely. I mean, this is a clear case of two-tier legislation. We have what's known as the Renters' Rights Bill that's actually going through Parliament at the moment. It was actually introduced as through the previous government. The new government took it on last year and changed it to now the Renters' Rights. It was called the Renters' Reform. It's basically same old, but so are the two uni parties, as we actually know. The legislation makes it very clear that there are certain things you can and can't do. Now, what makes it even worse is this minister had actually been 100% fully supportive. The homeless minister had been fully supportive of the new legislation, which is going through Parliament, which is likely to get parliamentary assent maybe around sort of September time, and it's likely to be enacted after going through royal assent in in the spring of next year. And she had actually agreed to it. She had agreed to all of the things that are actually being introduced, including a once a year increase in rent, keeping the rent at market, making sure that tenants are actually safe in their homes and that they're not being taken advantage of. And yet this woman totally went against everything that she'd actually agreed to and she'd voted on in Parliament. It's actually scandalous. I put out an article actually yesterday morning because I was so disgusted by this. And in my article, I put it on X, I said, she must resign. And I was absolutely delighted when I was driving home from a meeting last night to hear that she had actually resigned. So, that was good news for me because it's wrong. You cannot go and be in a government, say that you're supporting a legislation which is actually going through Parliament, and then literally turn your back on what you're actually agreeing to and do the opposite. That is fundamentally wrong, and especially when you are a minister in the government, it's frankly disgusting.
I think we have part of the article here. Councillor Maxine Fothergill, the Minister for Homelessness allegedly evicted her tenants, then re-let the property for £700 more. Rushanara Ali, at UK Labour, Minister for Homelessness allegedly gave her tenants 4 months' notice to sell her property, then re-rented it at £700 more per month, according to reports published yesterday in the Eye. And going down, this is the same MP who is backing the Renters' Rights Bill, legislation designed to protect renters and prevent homelessness. Let's leave that up for a minute. It does seem that you told her so. You could claim she resigned because of your article.
Well, to be totally honest with you, I did have a smile on my face, and I did wonder if I was actually part of the of her demise, and I damn well hope so, because this is fundamentally wrong. And she did the right thing by resigning, but she's done the wrong thing by not fully resigning, as far as I'm concerned. She should go. And so should many of the other Labour MPs with their double standards. We are living in a world where we are being dictated to, and there's one rule for them and another rule for us. And that's wrong. We vote these people in, and I bet many, many people are having total voters' remorse right now, or probably as soon as they actually realised how bad this Labour government is.
I might indulge you with a little bit of party politics later on as well. I'm aware of the fact that you've made a bit of a journey there as well. It's fortuitous, in fact, that you're also politically savvy as well as good at property. But just in terms of this article, it does seem pretty obvious to me that if you're going to do it, it's not very subtle to be part of a government which goes on and on and on about homelessness and the evil landlords. And I have to say the Tories weren't too good at this subject either.
No.
And then just break the very spirit and possibly the letter of the rules that you've just been describing. But the question is, Maxine, are these rules sensible in the first place? I'll tell you why I say this. I used to have to rent property. I couldn't stand it. I just couldn't sell the place. And in my experience, it's become so much harder for small time property owners to do anything with their property. It's easier just to sell them off so that they disappear off the rental market or get taken over by big conglomerates.
Yes.
There is nothing. I mean, one of them was in Wales, and there's just nothing in Wales that would ever make me try to rent a property out there again.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm afraid you're absolutely right. As I've mentioned at the very beginning, we have already 170 parts of legislation, 400 parts of regulation. For my sins, I'm also a trainer. I've been a trainer for the London Landlord Accreditation Scheme, which is run by Camden Council. So I have to keep up to date on all of the legislation. I also write articles for Property Investor News once a month. So I'm very up to date on the legislation. But what I will say, and this is running a property business as well, so working for other landlords, I have seen landlords leave in their droves. Now, as I say, this isn't necessarily Labour. This is Conservative, and it all started, I would say, around 2019 when George Osborne brought in the Section 24 tax rules. And many landlords, it isn't worth their while being landlords anymore. That landlords are taxed to the hilt. There's no incentive, and what it's done the opposite. And I have to say, the new strengthening of the legislation through the Renters' Rights Bill is going to make it worse. There are many landlords that are very concerned, and I'm seeing them selling in my own agency, as well as all my colleagues. I meet up regularly with a thing called the Lettings Industry Council, and it's shocking. It's shocking the way that we are losing so many properties because landlords don't feel that it's worth it anymore. And the new legislation that's going to go through, and it will be enacted probably in spring next year, is there will be no more Section 21.
No,
Now, the
you need to
section,
explain what does Section 21 mean? What does
Yeah.
Section 24 mean?
yeah,
In lay
As-
terms, what do those things do?
Sure. Now, the Section 24 that was brought in by George Osborne was the taxation. So instead of landlords being able to offset all of the interest on their mortgages, you can't do that anymore. So it's tightened, it's squeezed the amount of money that they could actually potentially make, and it's made it in some cases that landlords have actually been at a loss. So if they've had repairs, if the boiler's gone, all the usual things, if a tenant leaves and they've trashed the property, they've actually been at a huge, great big loss. So they've ended up having to get rid of their properties because there is no tax incentive to actually stay in the market. Now, many landlords, when this was introduced, they changed their model. So they've had to look at different ways, and some people have actually set themselves up now. They've gone, they've put their properties into companies, or they're buying now in companies so that they protect themselves. But there's still no protection, to be totally honest. Seeing all the legislation that's coming through, and certainly myself running a company, we're just getting hounded and we're being taxed. We are the highest taxed country, I believe, in pretty much the world now, certainly in the whole of Europe. And going on to another thing, but it looks as if there's going to be the £21 billion tax hole that Rachel Reeve kept going on about is now going to be £60 billion tax hole because of all that she's actually done since she's come in, where she's made promises for varying different organisations, and now she's actually it's all fallen flat on its face, as we know, and now she's got to look at somewhere where she can then start taxing in other ways.
It's extraordinary. They were telling us about what I thought was a bogus 21 billion or 22 billion pound black hole, they called it. Yeah. But they had enough money to throw it at Vladimir Zelensky, the clown, professionally the clown, who is losing to Russia and Ukraine. They have enough money for this balmy net zero nonsense and a whole lot of other things. Oh, nuclear submarines as well. But they haven't got enough money to give heating allowance to the poor and the aged, particularly. Yeah. But then suddenly they found
poor voters, absolutely shocking. And then they had enough money to give away money to Chagos Islands. I mean, you couldn't make it up if you try. But I know that Lempit, you and I have had the conversation before, but we remember what it was like when we had a Labour government before. And we remember our mums, having loads of candles when we had the blackouts. And we are going back into that. Do you remember it was called the Winter of Discontent? We are absolutely back in it again. But it did take Labour last time a few years. I think it took about 5 or 6 years. This time it's taken less than a year, and people are so discontent. They're so unhappy with what's actually going on. And, it gets worse. Every day you hear of something and you just think, this is awful. It's so awful. What is happening? Do they not love our country? Are they not proud to be British? Because I honestly believe, I don't think that they do. I don't think that they've got any pride in actually in our country. I think that they just want to destroy it, because that to me is how it feels. And I'm out talking to a lot of people all the time, and they all are saying the same message. What are they doing? It's heartbreaking.
The winter of discontent you referred to, for those who may be a bit younger than me, I'm not sure about you, but me, was the campaign slogan that Margaret Thatcher used as the leader of the Conservatives in 1978 to 1979. Obviously ripped off from Shakespeare, but I don't think he was around to sue her. Don't know how Shakespeare would have voted. But of course, the original phrase was, "Now is the winter of our discontent made glorious." But they just use winter of discontent, which has to rate in the same exalted category of marketing as Labour isn't working. If you remember that, the big long queue was shown. Well, we do seem to be getting there again.
We do.
Now, I have to say that I'm stunned by how badly they've performed. This is my opinion. I always say that we at Unprecedented allow our presenters to express opinions as long as they say their opinions. And my opinion is that Labour's absolutely crashed and burned. You don't actually see David Lammy around anymore. Apparently his big recent commitment to foreign policy is to have J.D. Vance, the American vice president, over for dinner or something while he's on holiday in America. It's hardly a state visit.
No.
Let's look at somebody else who may be partly responsible for this. I don't know if you blame her, but I do. I think that Angela Rayner, who's now selling off allotments for building, apparently, I think she's doing an abysmal job. She's way behind on her house building program. Maybe she'll catch up in the next 4 years. But at the moment, she doesn't seem to be doing anything useful at all. What do you make of her? And then we'll just talk briefly about Jeremy Corbyn.
I don't rate her at all. I think she's absolutely awful. But when you think about Keir Starmer and then you hear about all of the contention that there seems to be between the two of them, who would I prefer most out of the worst of the two evils? I think I'd prefer to keep Keir Starmer in than have Angela Rayner.
Why? It would be a laugh a minute if Angela Rayner was.
I think it would be a laugh a minute. I mean, you going back to the housing and the selling off allotments. I've read something yesterday about concrete, and there's not enough concrete, so there's not going to be enough concrete to be able to build all these houses that she wants. You just couldn't make things up if you tried, really.
Concrete creates a lot of carbon dioxide, and they think carbon dioxide, the gas of life, the gas that feeds our plants, is evil and is wrecking our environment. I don't want to turn every single show into a bash at the climate hoax, but I just don't feel that she and the others have the intellectual capability to hold down their jobs.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it comes back to the net stupid zero, doesn't it? She's never going to build all these houses. We all know what happens with big developers. They buy the land, they bank the land, and then where is all the skill set going to come from? We've not been having decent apprenticeships for years. We've been sending our children to Mickey Mouse University qualifications. We made them stay on in school until they were 18 instead of encouraging employers. I've always been a massive, big fan of apprenticeships. And over the years, I've had a number of people that have come through my company and we've taken them on as apprentices and they've gone on to great things. I'm a mum myself. My two boys, one's a gas engineer, the other one is an electrical engineer. But they both went through apprenticeships. But this government and the previous government, no incentive to actually have apprenticeships. So we don't have the skill sets. So where are we going to get the skill sets from? All the Polish left when the Brexit thing happens. They don't their money.
I thought you were pro-Brexit.
I was a big Brexiteer, so, I think it's a shame.
Can't complain about it now. You got what you wanted.
Yeah, exactly.
You're the hypocrite now.
Well, we didn't get what we wanted. That's the problem. We never got what we wanted. We wanted Brexit. We never got the proper Brexit. Boris Johnson totally let us down. He lied to us. And we've ended up with a real half-baked, absolute rubbish Brexit.
Well, I'll get you on about Brexit some other time. I want to go back. Can we get that other visual of Corbyn. Thank you. Jeremy Corbyn seems to be making hay here. It says, nail in the coffin, Jeremy Corbyn criticises Angela Rayner over allotment sales, she says. And it's actually quite remarkable how the former leader is actually one of the banes of the... Thanks for doing that. Is the bane of the Labour Party, because with all this going on, it seems very much to me as if Jeremy Corbyn is going to help Labour lose the next election. I happen to say I agree with him. Jeremy Corbyn criticises Angela Rayner of allotment sales. I happen to agree with him. Surely you're grateful that Jeremy Corbyn will hasten your reform, aren't you?
Yes.
Surely you're grateful that Jeremy Corbyn will hasten the demise of the Labour Party.
I think it's the gift that keeps giving. I mean, I'm very excited, to be totally honest with you. Good on Jeremy Corbyn. I am very, very excited about it because, yes, it will split their vote. They're already the worst government we've ever seen in the entire history of our country. And Jeremy Corbyn's actually added to the mix. So it's wonderful. It's very, very good news. I don't think they'll ever be in government again in this country, and I think they will go to extinction. Well, I hope. Let's put it that way.
I think as a triumph of hope over expectation, people say that quite a lot about the Conservatives. I don't know if they'll absolutely disappear, but I have to say that the kind of antics from Ms. Ali, the homelessness minister, simply makes people bitter. I think people just don't like the double standards, as you said before.
Yeah, no, absolutely shocking. But it's not just her, is it? There's been so many others. The Lord Ali, all of them being dressed and clothed and their glasses, £2,000, absolute joke. And what has actually been done about that? I've been a counsellor for the past 13 years, and we have a thing called the 7 Principles of Public Life, the Nolan 7 Principles of Public Life. And if I'd gone and done anything like that, or any of my colleagues, we would have been literally, they'd have wiped the floor with us. So where are the Nolan Principles of Public Life for these people that clearly are flouting the law? It started with Boris Johnson, I'll be honest. You know, he did some terrible things. He's not the only one. There are so many others. They take advantage. And at the end of the day, we vote them in. We've actually put them in place. And of course, that does
don't blame
help.
me. You maybe voted them in. I didn't.
Well, the public. I didn't vote them in necessarily.
I didn't vote for
the public votes them in, and then we lose trust in them. And we did something about the Conservatives. We voted them in as a country, and then we've got rid of them. And now the country's voted in the Labour government. And normally most governments do 2 terms. I'll eat my goddamn hat if this government will do 2 terms. I keep getting asked time and time again when I'm out and about, do you think that this government is going to actually see all the way through to their full 5 years? And sadly, I don't think that we've got a choice unless they do something absolutely so fundamentally wrong. I think that we're stuck with them. But it also worries the life out of me. I stand in politics, I'll be honest with you, Lempet, because I'm a mum and I'm a grandmother. I've got an 18-month-old little granddaughter and a 3-year-old grandson. And I feel that I have to do something. I have to put my head above the parapet for my family, for my grandchildren and everybody else's. Somebody's got to stand up to these bullies that are trying to wreck our country. I don't want my kids, my grandchildren to grow up in a country which we're actually seeing at the moment. And there is only one party that will actually save us, and that is Nigel Farage and Reform UK.
Well, I'm for another time, I'll have you on to talk about why there have been so many defections from the Conservatives to the Reform UK party. Some say it's just opportunism. Some say that, I don't want to go into this now, but some say that it's just because people who want to be in politics and were in Conservative Party politics now have just shifted allegiance because they think that reform's the best way to continue. I'm going to leave that hanging, though, because I want to end on a more happy note. And once again, I suppose it's a bit of a poke at the Labour Party. Not, as I understand it, not one a Labour cabinet minister has actually run a serious business in their lives. But let's celebrate. This is happy news. Maxine Fothergill at work. Let me show this.
Resource for all members to use, network, help and support each other, and to even gain some really exciting ideas. So please follow the link below and join our happy community.
I didn't know you had that.
We've got a very good team. They do a lot of digging before someone comes onto this show, so they'll get a small reward for that afterwards. But you look so happy and normal for a politician. I wonder if you think, as I do now, that politicians who've only done politics really aren't the right people. I have to put my cards on the table. If you'd asked me that question 30 years ago, I'd have said, oh, no, we need to have full-time politicians. They mustn't do anything else. I've completely done my on that because I want to have politicians who are actually wedded to the economy that they make or break. So I want to have business-minded people who run organizations that do get directly affected by the ebb and flow of the economy and can't just sit there in their ivory towers with their non-performance related pay, making decisions that affect the rest of us. Yeah. What do you think?
Oh, absolutely. You know, going back into government, it seems that if you know your subject, they get rid of you. And I'll give you an example. We had 14 years of a Conservative, terrible government. In that 14 years, we had 17 housing ministers. That's disgusting. And I'll tell you what, we had one, and he was actually probably the best one. He actually came in with experience. And because he came in with experience, they got rid of him within 6 months. I mean, that's disgusting. Mark, I can't even remember his name because there were 17 of them. But he was a chartered building surveyor. That's terrible. What we should have is people that actually know their subjects. And I do believe that we need to have people that run businesses, know businesses that actually are running the country. Because how can you have people that don't? And we've already seen all the failures over the last two, parties, the uni parties, where not one of them that sits within the cabinet now has had any business experience. So how can they actually talk to people in business when they don't know what it's like on the coal face, when you've got to be the marketeer, the cleaner, the HR, you've got to be everything to everyone, and you've got to keep things going. You've got to pay everyone, and you've got to work your socks off, and they've got no idea what it's actually like starting a business and keeping the momentum and keep running a business to become successful. Most businesses fail within the first 6 months, or certainly they don't last out. I think it's about 2 to 3 years, most business. But there's no incentive for people to even want to be a business owner anymore, because this government is trying to industrialize everything. They're trying to make everybody feel. What was the comment that they said about what is a working person? Keir Starmer couldn't even answer what a working class person is.
Well, he doesn't know what a woman is either.
He doesn't.
So it's not that surprising.
He doesn't know what a worker is. He doesn't know anything. I don't know how the man actually became prime minister.
Well, he doesn't know what a man is, presumably, if he doesn't know what a woman is.
Probably not.
Interestingly enough, just a little factoid for you. I actually co-wrote the shared ownership program policy of the Conservatives with a guy called Grant Shapps, who I actually quite like as a person. And so I was instrumental in a good thing that happened, actually. I think shared ownership schemes, shared ownership programs are pretty good. But by and large, I think the reason we had so many housing ministers is because, a bit like with the Northern Ireland portfolio, most people don't know what they're talking about. They haven't experienced it. They haven't experienced hardship and rent default and mortgage arrears because they've had a silver spoon in their mouths.
I feel it's a little bit more sinister than that, I'll be honest with you. I feel that it's not the ministers that are actually running the country. I think it's the civil service that's running the country. And the civil service are probably a big part of the demise. I mean, we saw that with the Dominic Cunningham, the stuff that was going on with the senior civil servants. I do believe, and I've seen it myself as a local politician, there's too many people that it seems very much that it's an officer-based led council in many councils than it is a member-based.
My experience of this is when you have weak politicians, civil service becomes strong. So let's conclude with this question. Has the woman who, not you, that's the wrong one. Hey, get the right person. Let's not condemn Maxine. Has Ms. Ali, the minister, done actual material harm to her party, or do you think this is just going to be missed again? I mean, do you think that it'll just be forgotten this year? Yeah, thanks for that. This is incidentally, I think, from a typical picture, a story from just about all the newspapers. But is it just going to wash over? Is it just going to be replaced by other stories? I think this one's from The Guardian. UK homelessness minister resigns after tenant eviction claims. Or will there be lasting damage?
No, that nothing will happen. If Lord Ali and all of the other scandals, everything else that we've heard, this will be a storm in a teacup. It will be today's news and tomorrow's chip paper. They are like Teflon. Everything that happens, it just falls straight off of them. It's so fundamentally wrong. And politicians and politics needs to clean up in this country. We should not have people that have this double standards. Politicians years ago always used to be the upstanding people. What on earth has happened to our politics in our country? This story, so many other stories, what we've heard. I mean, how many ministers have now had to actually step down? The worst bit is she's not stepping down permanently. She's not going to do the right thing and resign. She's stepping down to become a backbencher. So she'll still carry on with her £92,000 a year income. She just won't get a special allowance. The whole thing is completely wrong. And it's us as taxpayers that are paying for these people.
You're going to now be present for a world first here on Unprecedented TV. I'm going to read the chats. My team says, why ask for the chat comments if you don't read them out? Okay, I'm obliging my team. Thanks to Charlotte Emma, who has reposted this. Melinda Y also, and Christy have all reposted the stream. Now, that's really important to us because it increases our numbers. Really grateful for that. Obviously, we want to be the home of free speech, and we have a huge program coming up called Free Speech Central. I'll tell you about that in a minute. But just finishing off, you've been chomping at the bit to talk about your new political home, Reform UK. We also learned that you are standing for the Reform UK board. That's not about property. That's about the party, isn't it? What's that about?
Yeah, that's right. Yes, well, I'm very proud that in May of this year I became a new Kent County Councillor in a seat that had been uncontested for 28 years with the same candidate, a Conservative candidate, with an average of 78% majority. And I took that seat. They worked their socks off to try and keep that seat. They sent 3 MPs, Tom Tugendhat, Laura Trott and another MP. They were out campaigning when I was campaigning. I was knocking on doors. Tom Tugendhat was just putting leaflets through doors. They thought they was going to win it. They put all their eggs into one basket in Sevenoaks Rural North East to win that seat. And they allegedly had a 3,000 pledge. At the count, I was delighted. Mean? Pledge is when somebody actually says that they're going to vote for the party. So it's after being canvassed. So I was told by my insiders that they thought that they had it in the bag. They didn't bother to contest all the other 5 seats because there's 6 seats altogether in Sevenoaks. They put all their eggs in one basket and literally they had such a caning. I won with a 42% majority and 560 more votes than the Conservative candidate. So I was absolutely elated and so excited because now I stand for Sevenoaks Rural North East, the area that I actually live in, as a Reform County Councillor for Kent. One of the ones that we're very pleased to have, because as we know, this government actually stopped 5.5 million people actually having a vote in county elections this year because of their devolution programme. So, but that's another thing for another day. I'm sure I can tell you more about that.
You're very keen to do the party politics, and I understand it. But what is this board thing that you're standing for?
Oh, the board thing. That's really, really exciting. It's very exciting for me. Well, for our party, I believe. We started, Reform UK started as a party, as you know. We started as the Brexit Party, and I've been involved since then. We then we had our MEPs in place. They did a great job to pull us out of Europe, so very grateful for what they did for us then. And then we formulated, and last year we had the general election. We managed to get Nigel Farage back and in a seat into Parliament. So
now you're doing a party political broadcast. I want to know about the board.
Okay. So as a party, we have been a growing party. We have a constitution. Many people were criticising us because of the way that we were set up. Our party is democratising now. And fortunately, there are 3 places that have come up on the boards for members like myself to actually put yourself forward. Now, it wasn't an easy task because you needed to get a proposer, a seconder and 10 branch chairs. And there are only 450 branches across the country. 80 people applied, and it narrowed down to 19 people that are actually going through. And I'm really fortunate to be one of those. So next week, I'm on a live hustings with our party, live stream hustings. There is actually now 17. 2 people have dropped out of the race now. So it's going to be a big thing between 6 and 8, live streamed on the Reform UK website. And I'm standing because I do believe that I've got the business experience. Nigel Farage has said so many times that we need people that have run businesses, that understand business. But I've also got the political experience as well, with 4 seats that I've won that have been really tough, hard, marginal seats. So I do believe that I bring both those skills, and I hope that people will find it in their heart to vote for me out of the one of the 3 seats to stand for the board.
You've been very kind to join us on Lembertopic Live at short notice. I suppose it's only fair that I give you a chance to make your pitch. If your competitors want to come on as well, they're most welcome. I'm even-handed with that. But final word, 1 sentence summarising. Thank you for that. But 1 sentence summarising your views of Labour's housing policies and Minister Ali's contribution to their credibility. I'm reading the witness. Yes.
Shocking. Absolutely shocking. Shouldn't happen. And once again, this government has let us down. Okay.
Thank you so much. And thanks for your erudition there. And hopefully we'll see you again. That is Councillor Fothergill, who kindly came to join us at short notice to talk about the, some would say, shock resignation of the Homelessness Minister, Minister Ali. Others would say it's the shock revelation of her shocking behaviour. You can have your say, as many are beginning to do. And I finally got the hang of the chat. My team will be pleased with that. Big thank you to them. Also, big thank you, seriously, to Councillor Fothergill. But mainly thank you to you for watching. Now, I've got to tell you, if you're watching this again, you will have heard about our massive exclusive. We're going to share a huge interview that Unprecedented TV has done a little bit later this morning, if you're watching on the live. Otherwise, you'll find it in the archive. But Free Speech Central is a new program where we interview some of the more outspoken people in the world. We give them a platform to express their views and unusually give them the best chance to put their case. Why? Because I trust your judgment. I trust your ability to make your views based on information. So the mission of Free Speech Central is to give you direct access, if you like, to high octane people without a filter in between. I have my opinions, of course, and I have my political views and so forth and my value system. But at the center of the mission of Unprecedented TV is to give you access to people who you normally see through a filter, through the mainstream filter or the political filter. We try to take that filter out. So our first ever guest will be announced very shortly. As I say, if you're watching this again in the archive, you will already see who that is. But stay on point. I think you'll find our first guest very, very interesting indeed. Big thanks to the team. Big thanks to my guest. More than anything, big thanks to you for watching Unprecedented TV and be Lembitopic. Whatever you're doing, have a very good day.
This is all wrong. I shouldn't be up here. I should be back in school on the other side of the ocean. Yet you all come to us young people for hope. How dare you?
Boring. 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 Boring.
You got it work. Don't tell us what we're going to feel. We're trying to solve a problem. Don't tell us what we're going to feel.
I'm not telling you.
Because you're in no position to dictate that.
That's exactly what you're doing.
You're in no position to dictate what we're going to feel.
I call again for immediate ceasefire in Gaza, the return of the sausages, the hostages,